Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking a
categorically,
question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You are
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can
No,
you
I'm
give
not
us a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir. I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM in this new year. Happy New Year. Yeah. And I think it's going to be an even happier new year as we progress. Why do I say that? You know, the cult wants you to think, the globalist cult, the New World Order, the criminal international banking syndicate, the deep state, the shadow government, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same. They want you to think they got firm control, the levers of power, and the direction of where our constitutional republic and where the world is heading. That's what they talk about. But if you look at their actions, they're not acting like they're winning. They're panicked. Why? Because there's been a mass awakening about the freedom stripping agenda of the cult. I have to laugh. How many times have you heard? We need to ensure the continuity of government. COG. Why do you want to focus on the continuity of a criminal enterprise? Every aspect of government is criminal. It's based on coercion. It's based on a con, misinformation, disinformation, censorship, chaos, death, destruction, stripping people of their freedoms and liberty. Why do you want to have a continuity of government? Because that's what it's come down to. That is what it represents. How about a continuity of the American people and the American spirit? That's why. So in 2024, we need to focus on the continuity of the American people, not the continuity of the criminal government. Screw them. The continuity of the American people and the American spirit. In the book 1984 by George Orwell, when I was in college, I double majored, chemistry and economics. In the economics department, where I went to undergrad, Bucknell University in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, was pretty, at times, left of the Bolsheviks. There were some conservatives in there, but for the most part, the overall thing. Well, one of the profs in one of the classes I took presented 1984, the book. You're going to read it because it's a manual about how, quote, our movement is going to take control of the United States and the world. From George Orwell. It is their playbook. And we see it live and in color every day, playing out, right? It's George Orwell. Quote, "Now I will tell you the answer to my question. It is this. The party seeks power entirely for its own sake. We are not interested in the good of others. We are interested solely in power, pure power. What pure power means you will understand presently. We are different from the oligarchies of the past in that we do not know we know what we are doing. All the others, even those who resembled ourselves, were cowards and hypocrites. The German Nazis and the Russian communists came very close to us in their methods, but they never had the courage to recognize their own motives. They pretended, perhaps they even believed, that they had seized power unwillingly and for a limited time, and that just around the corner there lay a paradise where human beings would be free and equal. We are not like that. No, the globalists are not like that. We know that no one ever seizes power with the intention of relinquishing it. Power is not a means. It is an end. One does not establish a dictatorship in order to safeguard a revolution. One makes the revolution in order to establish the dictatorship. Now you begin to understand me. End quote. George Orwell, 1984. And the result of that power grab is to cancel anything and everything associated with freedom. But they failed. There are millions of more people today, in 2024, that have awakened to not just this criminal, but this truly, with a capital E, evil agenda of the globalist cult. Millions more. Tens of millions more from just 2 years ago. Hundreds of millions of people have awakened over the past 3 years around the world. Many of whom were calling all of us in the independent media that were telling you about this for years. You're conspiracy theorists. This is hyperbole. This is paranoia. And those hundreds of millions of people around the world are now coming back and saying, you were right. It might be conspiracy, but it's conspiracy reality. So in 2024, we have to keep doing what we've been doing and up our game. We don't need to focus on the continuity of the criminal government. We need to focus on the continuity of every person in our country, every American, every person of the world. We need to focus on the continuity of the American spirit. We need to focus on the continuity of the freedom and liberty-based agenda. We need to focus on the continuity of our constitutional republic. And that scares the living bejesus out of the cult. John and Nisha Whitehead from the Rutherford Institute, they did great work. They recently wrote an article, "We've already got a dictator-in-chief. How absolute power corrupted the president." I want to go through a bit of this with you because it's really, really important, I believe. Here's what they say. "The president is already a dictator with permanent powers, imperial, unaccountable, and unconstitutional thanks to a relatively obscure directive, the National Security Presidential Directive 51 and Homeland Security Presidential Directive 20. Part of our country's continuity of government plan. Not continuity of the American people or spirit, but continuity of their criminal enterprise, which gives unchecked executive, legislative, and judicial power to the president in the event of a, quote, national emergency. That national emergency can take any form, can be manipulated for any purpose." The last 3 years sound familiar? Starting in 2019, yeah. "And can be used to justify any end goal, all on the say-so of the president." You got to have that. It doesn't even matter what the nature of the crisis might be. Civil unrest, the national emergencies, unforeseen economic collapse, I believe that's coming our way. Loss of functioning political and legal order, purposeful domestic resistance or insurgency, pervasive public health emergencies, and catastrophic natural and human disasters are all part of their playbook. The country would then be subjected to martial law by default, and the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, would be suspended. We should probably say further suspended, because in many respects they already have been suspended to some degree. For all intents and purposes, the Constitution has been suspended. We've been losing our freedom so incrementally for so long, sold to us in the name of national security and global peace, maintained by way of martial law disguised as law and order, and enforced by a standing army of militarized police and political elite determined to maintain their powers at all costs. You know, that continuity of government. We are paying the price every day that we allow the government to continue to wage its war on the American people. A war that is being fought on many fronts, with bullets and tasers, with surveillance cameras and license readers, with intimidation and propaganda, with court rulings and legislation, with the collusion of every bureaucrat who dances to the tune of corporate handouts while on the government's payroll, and most effectively of all, with the complicity of the American people, who continue to allow themselves to be easily manipulated by their politics, distracted by their pastimes, and acclimated to a world in which government corruption is the norm. If we continue down this road, there can be no surprise about what awaits us at the end. What we desperately need is a concerted collective commitment to the Constitution's principles of a limited government, a system of checks and balances, and a recognition that they, the President, Congress, and the courts, the military, the police, the technocrats, and the plutocrats, and the bureaucrats answer to and are accountable to you, to me, and we the people. Folks, many people believe that we can only do so much. No, we can do it all. And the Whiteheads pointed at this. Start locally, in your communities, in your schools, at your city council meetings, in newspaper editorials, posting online, at protests, peaceful protests, by pushing back against laws that are unjust, police departments that overreach, politicians that don't listen to their constituents, and a system of government that grows more tyrannical by the day. We must recalibrate the balance of power. And that's exactly what's happening. And that's what exactly is panicking the cult. Because they see it. They feel it. They hear it. And they're panicked. Continuity government, somebody sent me this, translates into big banks ensure we stay in debt and get further in debt, by the way. Big pharma ensures we stay sick. Weapons manufacturers ensure we stay at war. The mainstream media, what I call the bought-off lamestream fake media, ensures we stay ignorant. And government ensures that it's all legal and that all of the above goes without punishment. See, folks, their operation is failing. And I believe 2024 will be the breaking point for freedom. But the way it breaks open for freedom in a positive respect is you and doing what you've been doing and encouraging as many people to get off the couch and do something. Educating and empowering your family, your friends, your neighbors, your co-workers, maybe even people you don't know. I've mentioned this before, but one of the things I do is I have little cards with websites. And when I'm getting gas or I'm in a store, for example, the other day in the store, I said, wow, look at the price of this stuff. This is crazy. You never get any feedback, negative feedback on that. People say, yeah, it is nuts. I go, you know what? I have found it helpful to go to some sites that have given me insight into what's wrong, what's really wrong that we're not being told, and what we can do to fix it. And here's a card, and here has the websites. And I have Zero Hedge on it, and I have DaveJanda.com on it, and I have SarahWestall.com on it, and SGT.com on it with Sean, and I have Breitbart News, and I have WhamRadio.com, WAAMradio.com. I've never had anybody say, keep that card. I have had folks every time thank me. Thank you. Because I didn't know where I should go to get information because something's really wrong. And I got a handle, I think, on what's really wrong, but I appreciate this. Thank you. There you go. That is what the continuity of the American spirit is about. It's kind of Paul Revere-esque. That's what the continuity of the American people is all about. And it's directly contrary to the continuity of the criminal evil. And it truly is evil, with an E, capital E. Evil government. I thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. We have constructed a website that is incredibly secure. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars every month on our IT services there. So it is secure. Now, we need to do that because the content I present at davejanda.com, I cannot present on any social media platform, on YouTube, on Rumble, anywhere. And I cannot discuss on the radio. That's why that content is so heavily protected, as are every person who comes to our site at davejanda.com. For 30 cents a day, we have a tremendous amount of free content there. But we also have the subscription content, which is the key, the premium service content and email service, where we notify people of all of our content that's going up. Folks, 30 cents a day, $9 a month. You can sign up for a month and get rid of it. But I don't know why. Because the information you get, you'll never see in the bought-off lamestream fake media. It puts you, this is not hyperbole. If you talk to our subscribers, they will tell you, I'm constantly getting email. Your information saved my life, saved my family's life. I don't think that's hyperbole. I think that's in fact true. We put people beyond months. We put people years ahead of the curve through the sources I've developed over the past 36 years from behind the curtain. No other platform has those sources. No other platform. Fact. In some cases, we put people decades ahead of the curve. We cover, you name the topic: financial, economic, health, climate, immigration, just to name a few. We cover the entire spectrum. And it's all freedom-based. We hope you become part of our freedom family. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today. Stop on by davejanda.com. You will not be sorry. You will not be disappointed. But you will be educated and empowered when you leave that site. Thanks for your time today.